I want to welcome everyone to the 2020-2021 Provost Student Publications Ceremony Award. It's a really nice event, and it's one of the most pure celebrations that we get to have at FAU. The nice thing about having social distancing is that we actually get many more students to participate in this kind of event because it's much easier to be involved. So thank you all for joining us. And thank you, deans and provost, for also attending and helping out. The first order of business is to acknowledge the work that the departments for Writing Across Curriculum, particularly Writing Enriched Curriculum departments, have done for the last year. We have 3 active programs in our pilot. We've been piloting for a few years now, and they've done some really interesting work. So I will turn to the presentation and get us started. Just to get you a sense of what we'll do is I'll recognize the departments, then I'll introduce Dean Pratt, who will introduce the provost, and then the provost will introduce the first dean, and then deans will follow thereafter, introducing names or reading the names and titles of student works. So the 3 departments that we have as part of the pilot process this year: sociology, language linguistics, and comparative literatures, and political science. Sociology is chaired by Ann Branneman, and the liaison is Phil Lewin. I want to thank them for their efforts over these past couple of years. These are the criteria, these are the goals that they established and actually have met in their curricular changes this past. They're actually about to implement this coming fall. So I'm not going to read these elements. You can see the light blue components are the things that they have focused on. I think probably the most important thing that they've done is to really restructure their entire curriculum, shifting the majority of what used to be 4,000 level classes to 3,000, and restructured their 4,000 level course expectations. The abilities that they focused on are critical reading, communication, formulating sociological questions, etc., interpretation, reflexivity. Every department chooses a different set of abilities that are most important to their students once they graduate for writing abilities. The language and linguistics has been working with the Writing Enriched Curriculum for quite some time. They actually went through as a whole department, and now just linguistics is working through the process. They have also done a good bit of work developing their set of desired abilities. As you see, these elements that they've accomplished. They've increased student resources by providing some to the programs, but linguistics itself is also providing resources and has hired a Writing Center consultant specifically for linguistic students. These are their abilities that they've demonstrated. Notice how different they are. Now, these are 4 of 9. There's an additional slide for additional abilities. Each department has a different number, right? So actually there are 8. Notice that critical thinking and organizing, demonstrating ability to compile bibliography, etc. These are essential abilities for their students. Finally, and I neglected to identify, I apologize, Marcella Munson and Mike Hamilton as the liaison. They've been great collaborators over the last few years. So Kevin Wagner and Angie Nichols have been very productive as well. They've developed their set of abilities. They've increased their training and support by providing specialized workshops and support through the Writing Center for their students specifically. And they developed and approved a new required course, which actually took a great deal of effort to negotiate in a department. Finally, their abilities, again, look very different from those of the others. I'll let you look at those yourselves. The exciting part of the Writing Enriched Curriculum program is that it enables departments to really rethink how their students need to be situated when they leave the university. And they're the ones who identify the abilities students need. They develop a curricular change program. They develop an assessment process and an implementation process that lasts them for several years. So it's great to have these programs involved, and I want to really thank them for their efforts. I'm excited to see them move forward. Without further ado, I will now turn to the ceremony for students. I just want to give you a little bit of information. So we have we had a grand total of 153 submissions, which is dramatically higher than we've actually ever had in the 3 years we've been doing this. 110 students submitted. That's wonderful. Every year we seem to increase the number of students who are being recognized for publishing while they're at FAU. You get to see the breakdown of where the students are from, both in departments and across levels. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Ed and have him say a few words.
Thanks, Jeff. Hello, everyone. I would like to extend heartfelt congratulations to all of you on your writing accomplishments. To have a publication under your belt as a student is really a singular accomplishment. The majority of students can only dream of doing something like this. And I firmly believe that the most important thing that we can get out of our education is to write well. It's something that will stay with us for life, something that will distinguish ourselves from so many others, something that will serve us well in later occupations, and something that we should always be proud of. So again, I'd like to congratulate all of you on this really remarkable achievement. Now I'd like to introduce our Provost and Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Bret Danilowicz. Dr. Danilowicz has long been a champion of student accomplishments such as yours. Bret.
Thank you, Dean Pratt, and welcome everyone, and congratulations. You know, it's no small feat to take the extra steps needed to become an author, especially during a pandemic. Let's face it, the time that got absorbed with being online and Zoom meetings, the students that I've talked to, it was an extraordinary amount of time, and it was more time than normal. Some of you I know got course credit for doing this, but I'm sure you spent more time than your course credit would have stated to become published, and many of you did not get any course credit at all. You did this because you enjoyed the ability to become an author. So thank you for that effort. And really, you do us a great honor as an institution, as Florida Atlantic University, when you publish. You then extend the name of Florida Atlantic University beyond the boundaries of our 6 campuses. So really, you help us become a better institution. We're better because of it, and people know we're better because of you. I do believe you are wonderful examples for our other students to follow in the footsteps of. And you all probably have favorite faculty members or faculty members that you really have a high regard for. I can guarantee you that nothing makes them happier than when they see their students publish. So on the other side of the Zoom camera, there are many very happy faculty smiling right now because of the dedication that you put in on this. As Dean Pratt had indicated, you've also taken a significant step by documenting your ability to write well. You've published, which means other people have viewed your work and found it of sufficient quality to publish it and make it readable by others. So again, that's an incredible accomplishment, and it's a wonderful start to what is going to be outstanding careers for each and every one of you. So again, my congratulations. I do have the pleasure now of introducing Dean Michael Horswell, who I believe is going to start with the recognition of our individual student authors. Dean Horswell.
Thank you, Provost. And first, before we start, I want to thank Dr. Galin, the entire Writing Center staff, and all of our faculty who have mentored students in this group and other groups of students with their writing. As Dr. Danilowicz said, this achievement is incredible. I'm so proud of each and every one of the students from the College of Arts and Letters. 56, I believe, is the number of publications. It's really amazing. So congratulations to all the students who I'm going to recognize today. I was so excited to see the breadth and depth of your work. Of course, we're a very diverse college, and you'll see now in the titles of that kind of diversity of topics that you explored in your writing. So congratulations to all. The first recognized student is Desir Abel, who wrote Mask. Joseph Acosta, who wrote Cheerless, How the Spirit of Sportsmanship Was Denied for 2 FAU club cheerleaders. Roxana Ambrosini, La imagen de Rinconete en Cortadillo a través de las emociones. Matthew Bilati, Lepidoptera. I'm going to have some trouble. Some of these are multilingual titles. And Matthew also wrote Lone Dancer. Christina Carson, Dear Alex. Isabella Cipolloni Movilla wrote Il Padrino e la Luce. Albena Zorova wrote Symbolic Politics and Government Response to a National Emergency, narrating the COVID-19 crisis, and also Organizational Theory, Bureaucracy, and Public Management in a Time of Transformation. Michael Gennaro wrote The Book Corner, the autobiography of Malcolm X. Charlie Gleek, This Is It, a review of Larry Brown's Tiny Love, The Complete Stories. Nadia Gordon, oops, I think we skipped, can we go back? Nadia Gordon wrote Students Create Organization for Peaceful Protests. Caitlin Grosick wrote Things Are Different Now. Lynette Gutierrez, RICO, the Anti-Mafia Law. Matthew Hawkins, Leaning Into the End of the World, and another, 25 Fragments. Serena Horman wrote Little Haiti, Miami, Resilient in the Face of Displacement, and wrote Alienation and Accountability as Depicted Through Movies. Bain Kimberly, Stanley Fish and the Debate Between Content and Form in the Writing Classroom. Daphne Kiplagat, Small Stories. Moises Linares, 4-Beat Media. Ryan Lofaro wrote several. Salient Target Populations and the Subcategorization of Deviance and the Release of Inmates During the COVID-19 Pandemic. Narrative Politics and Policy Discourse, the debate over safe injection sites in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Examining Year-End Spending Spikes in the European Economic Area, a comparative study of procurement contracts. Carla Viviana Lopez wrote Life as a Remote Intern During a Pandemic. Maria Lungo wrote COVID-19 Effects on Student Learning and Engagement, an Innovative and Interdisciplinary Approach, Effects of COVID-19 on Student Learning. Robert Mariaga wrote RICO, the Anti-Mafia Law. Gianna Matteodo, a historical and political look into the war on drugs within the United States legal system. Ria Mavinkurve wrote The Future of Natural Gas Legislation. Taylor McGee, An Era of New Policing, Exploring the Defunding of the Police. Vinicius Miranda de Andrade Camara, Electioneer, and also Blue Nut. Daniela Orias, No One is Disposable, Ecofeminism and Climate Crisis. Viviana Pesullo, Claire Bretécher, Female Humor and the Myths of Consumer Society. And also Rural Italy and Feminist Writing, Dialogism, Polyphony and Heteroglossia in Amanda Gutucci's La Donna Non è Gente. And Mario Pimentel, Morphogenesis. Taylor Reed, It Matters If You're Black or White. Elliot Rodriguez has several. When the Snow is Over, celebrating J. Diaz's birthday and legacy with a Donuts review. Madvillainy. Gregory Rodriguez, Is At-Will Employment Obsolete? Jessica Savage, How Cash Bail Negatively Affects the United States. Brianna Smith, Senior Spotlight, On Track with Megan Giovanello. Dominique Spano, Bureaucracy, Leadership, and Ethics as Reflected Through Movies. Mina Subedi, Economic Value Added for Performance Evaluation of Public Organizations. And a second, Public-Private Partnership and Bureaucracy. Alexander Veal, The Five Faces of Oppression Personified as Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Eileen Wynn has several. In Which I Reject the Humorless Narrative of My Life and Become Funny, Divine. To Have Faith in Troublesome Bounty. When I Peered Past Doubt and Knew Myself. At that age, hatching our own chickens seemed like a good idea. My grandmother recreates Michelangelo's creation of Adam in Brown County, Ohio. Eileen Wynn continuing with more. We Member No Body. Worst Case Scenario number 6. Cheryl Woolner, Finding the Female Quest in Sarah Monette's Melusine. Samantha Young, Time. So congratulations to all the students in Arts and Letters. I wish I could read them all. They sound fascinating.
Hello, everyone. This is Ed Pratt again. I will be announcing the student authors and publications for the College of Business. First, Doing Michael, Summations in American Precedents, Social and Legal Constructs for Future Constitutional Reformations. Joseph Carissa, Filling in the Gaps of International Cybersecurity in the United States. Marshall Kada, Is the Prison Complex a Revision of Slavery? Pereira Richard, Experiencing COVID-19 in China Through the Eyes of FAU Alumni, and also Experiencing the Pandemic in Brazil Through the Eyes of FAU Alumni. Thank you, everyone, and congratulations.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Paul Peluso. I'm the Senior Associate Dean in the College of Education, and I have the pleasure of reading out the student publications coming out of the College of Education. The first one is authored by Tanisha Beecher-Bell, Implications for Hybrid Teleworking Programs for Regeneration and Sustainable Development.
Woohoo!
Lazario Camacho Jr. wrote A Values-Based Leadership Approach to Redefining Latino Manhood and Masculinity. Gina Hufty wrote Impacts of Incentives on Struggling Readers. Juan Izaguirre wrote A Values-Based Leadership Approach to Redefining Latino Manhood and Masculinity. Nigel Johnson wrote A Message from the Board, Summertime. Paul Massey wrote Putting Black Boys' Literacies First, Collective Curriculum Development for the Lives and Literacies of Black Boys. Continuing on, Tiara Miles Clark wrote Kazi Can, the Read Aloud and Out Workbook. Iris Miner wrote Reskilling Teachers and Reclaiming Our Schools, a University, School District Partnership for Educational Equity. Leela Shatara wrote An Examination of the Relationship between a Redesigned School Leadership Preparation Program and Graduates' Cultural Competence. Claire Singer wrote Perceived Voice Disorders in Older Adults and Impact on Social Interactions. Melanie Stefanovich wrote An Examination of the Relationship between a Redesigned School Leadership Preparation Program and Graduates' Cultural Competence. Melanie Stefanovich also wrote SEL Starts and the Top, and she also wrote Confronting a Compound Crisis, the school principal's roles during an initial phase of the COVID-19 pandemic. Thiago Verones wrote Internationalizations in Two Loci of Enunciation, the South and Global North. Nicole Walkinshaw wrote Love Letter, and Jacqueline Wood wrote Using a Peer-Mediated Instructional Package to Teach College Students with Intellectual and Developmental Disabilities to Navigate an Inclusive University Campus. And Jacqueline also authored Using a Literacy-Based Behavioral Intervention to Teach Job Interviewing Skills to Adults with Intellectual Disability. Congratulations to you all. You reflect great credit on the College of Education.
Fred, are you available?
Can you hear me now? Okay, hello, my name is Fred Bletcher. I'm the Associate Dean for Undergraduate Studies in the College of Engineering. And we have 16 students who have been involved in 23 separate papers within the college here. So we'll start off. Mustafa Ayangalu wrote Design Analysis of N-notch flexure sandwich specimen with honeycomb core. Mayar Gazavini wrote several papers. The first one, combination of baffling technique and high thermal conductivity fluids to enhance the overall performances of solar channels. Also wrote performance evaluation of a U-shaped heat exchanger containing hybrid copper and CNT nanofluids, experimental data and modeling using regression and artificial neural networks, and energy and exergy analysis of solid oxide fuel cell turbine hybrid systems fed by different renewable biofuels, a comparative study. Sorry, there was something in the screen. And finally wrote design analysis of an N-notch flexure sandwich specimen with honeycomb core. Oh, we got that. The next student was Qazi Albab Hussein, who wrote heteroaggregation of neural and charged nanoparticles, a potential method of making core shell nanohybrids through self-assembly. Saeed Hussein wrote and participated in 2 studies, RICO, the Anti-Mafia Law 2021, and the Future of Natural Gas Legislation. Mad Almagar Kabir wrote an antibody panel for highly specific detection and differentiation of Zika virus and diagnosis for COVID-19 current status and future prospects. Continuing, he also wrote management of COVID-19 current status and future prospects and lab on a chip Zika detection with reverse transcriptions loop mediated isothermal amplification based on assay for point of care settings. Babek Mosavadi wrote development of an organ on a chip designed to study placental pathology. And Natalia Nishenko wrote a survey of methods supporting cyber situational awareness in the context of smart cities and cyber threat intelligence for the Internet of Things. Stephanie Olson wrote human-inspired robotic eye-hand coordination enables new communication channels between humans and robots. Rafael Papa wrote energy-constrained drone delivery scheduling. Jose Angel Sanchez Viloria wrote a design of online laboratory authoring tool. Jesse Schreck wrote aerosol generation in public restrooms. Sandhya Sharma wrote lab on a chip Zika detection with reverse transcription loop mediated isothermal amplification based assay for point of care settings. Ishwarya Srikanth wrote deterioration models for prediction of remaining useful life of timber and concrete bridges, a review of integrated probabilistic mechanistic deterioration modeling for preventative maintenance of aging fixed offshore jacket type platforms. Andrew Steinberg wrote UAS patch path planning with space-time graph. Shaheen Ahmed Sojan wrote passive permeate-sided heated solar thermal membrane distillation, extracting potable water from seawater, surface water, and municipal wastewater at high single-stage solar efficiencies. And Ramat Ullah Tanvir participated in that same paper. Back up. Passive permeate-sided heated solar thermal membrane distillation, extracting potable water from seawater, surface water, and municipal wastewater at high stage solar efficiency. So congratulations, all the engineering students.
Hi, this is Dr. Stuart Markowitz. I'm the Senior Associate Dean here at the College of Medicine, and we have 8 students who I am very proud to announce their titles. First is Stephanie Bayun, carrots, blueberries, and spinach, Vision Superfoods. In addition, she published a paper, Recurrent Acute Retinal Necrosis. Next is Nicholas Echeverry, who published Intracranial Tubular Retractor Systems, a comparison and review of the literature of the brain path, Vicor, and Metrix tubular retractors in the management of deep brain lesions. Next, Vivian Haggerty with 2 publications, The first is inpatient hospital outcomes and its association with the insurance type among pediatric neurosurgery trauma patients. Her next paper was association of hospital characteristics with outcomes for pediatric neurosurgical accidental trauma patients. Layla Curry published 3. Her first is an integrative educational and multimodal approach to achieving an opioid-free postoperative course following arthroscopic rotator cuff repair. Her next is Equal Care for All. Do surgical outcomes in shoulder arthroplasty depend on insurance type? The next, What do patients think about opioids? A survey of patient perceptions regarding pain control after shoulder surgery. Next, Sarah Palumbo with 2 publications. The first, Assessment of Probable Opioid Use Disorder using Electronic Health Record Documentation. The next, Different Biases and Meta-Analyses of Case Control and Cohort Studies, an example from Genomics and Precision Medicine. The next author, our student Danielle Steinberg, Mutations Outside URE2 Amyloid Forming Region Disruption, URE3, Prion Propagation, Alter Interactions with Protein Quality Control Factors. Next, Layla Toe, Investigating Social Determinants of Health in an Urban Direct Primary Care Clinic. And the last, Oscar Adrian Vasquez, Cannula Size Effect on Stromal Vascular Fraction Content of Fat Grafts. We're proud of all these students. Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. I am Robert Stackman, the Dean of the Graduate College, and I have the distinct pleasure of reading names for College of Nursing. I'll just take a moment to echo what my colleagues here have said. I think about these publications as really the currency of your training and your expertise, and so I'm always encouraging my students to look for opportunities to publish. So this is really fantastic to be a part of this, this ceremony. So Angelica Hernandez is the first of our students from College of Nursing. She's actually published 2 papers. One, Will Virtual Clinical Learning During a Pandemic Affect Patient Safety? And Angelica also authored Keeping Pre-Licensure BSN Students Abreast of COVID-19 Disease Management. Next, we have Saumi Pandey, who published her paper entitled Digital Health Information Disparities in Older Adults, a Mixed Method Study. And finally, Armil Suryaga, Regional Workshops to Widely Disseminate an Innovative Practice.
Hello, I'm Bill Calise. I'm an Associate Dean in the College of Science, and I'm pleased to recognize the student publications from the College of Science. We have Danella Beckwith, who wrote Calorimetric Analysis of the Interplay Between Synthetic TN Antigen-Presenting MUC1 Glycopeptides and Human Macrophage Galactose-Type Lectin. She also wrote Galectin-Glycan Interactions, Guidelines for Monitoring by 77SE NMR Spectroscopy and Solvent H2O-D2O Impact on Binding, as well as Influence of Protein, Human Galectin-3 Design on Aspects of Lectin Activity. Catherine Barrowett wrote Comparison of Drug Inhibitory Effects, IC50 in Monolayer and Spheroid Cultures. Melanie Doan wrote Adult Blacktip Sharks, Carcharinus limbatus, use shallow water as a refuge from great hammerheads, Sphaerna macararum. And Nika Dorilis, Comparison of Drug Inhibitory Effects, IC50 in Monolayer and Spheroid Cultures. Emmanuel Florentine wrote Frontline Communities and SARS-CoV-2 Multi-Population Modeling with an Assessment of Disparity by Race Ethnicity using Ensemble Data Assimilation. Daniela Hernandez Bueso, Manifestations of Faith in American Southern Short Fiction. Hunter Hines wrote First Records of Flagship Soil Silates in North America, as well as Protistological Science Dissemination. Kevin Lopez Pelez wrote Regulating the High Seas, International Maritime Piracy Law. Renee Miller-Xavier wrote Unlocking a New Target for Streptomycetes Strain Improvement, as well as Genome Sequence of Streptomyces sp strain HBN217, isolated from the marine sponge Forsythia sp. Alicia Madawala wrote The Government's Role in Protecting Citizens from Psychological Harm. Amira Mungal, Weighing In on Obesity. And, Nicholas Pizzo, Molecular and Cellular Analysis of Orange Plants Infected with Huanglongbing, Citrus Greening Disease. Sheikh Abdullah Rifat, Measuring Community Disaster Resilience in the Coterminous Coastal United States. Binod Ramal, A New Generalized Cauchy Distribution with an Application to Annual One-Day Maximal Rainfall Data. Morgan Slevin wrote Evidence Supporting the Microbiota Gut-Brain Axis in a Songbird. Also Body Size, Habitat Quality, and Territory Defense in Bachman Sparrow. Morgan also wrote Widespread Behavioral Responses by Mammals and Fish to Zoo Visitors Highlight Differences between Individual Animals, and also Breeding Biology in the Mountain Wren Babbler, Gypsophilia crassus. And Alexis Sturm wrote Open Population Genetic Structure of the Great Star Coral, Montestrea cavernosa, across the Cuban archipelago with comparisons between microsatellite and SMP markers. And I'd like to congratulate all of the publications and students from the College of Science.
Hi, I'm Dr. Vaughn Critchlow. I'm the Associate Dean for the College of Social Work and Criminal Justice. We are a new college. We're not yet 1 year old, and I'm really happy to announce the student publications. First, we have Hajra Akram, who wrote United Nations versus Humanity. Laura Eugene, who wrote DWI Courts. Hannah Hodges, she wrote Policing Through Social Media, a Qualitative Exploration. Cha Mei Lee Singh, Facing Myself in a Racist Nation. And Neil Sinha, who had 2 publications. The first one is Social Work Practice and Research with Technology, Ethical Challenges and Responses. And the second one, Zoom Bombing Interrupts University's MLK Day Event. Congratulations to you all.
Okay, my fellow owls. I'm Justin Perry, and I am the, I suppose, still relatively new Dean of the Wilkes Honors College. And it gives me great pride and pleasure to recognize the following students here who have made such wonderful contributions to their respective fields of study. Ari Avilas, who wrote Developmental Loss of Neurofibromine Across Distributed Neuronal Circuits Drives Excessive Grooming in Drosophila. And I hope I read that, pronouncing it correctly. Christina Cross, who wrote Amaris, Mitigating Dust Accumulation Using Electrostatic Forces, and a lithium-ion nanofoil shield with applications to lunar missions. Victoria Cross, who wrote the same paper with the same title, Amaris, Mitigating Dust Accumulation Using Electrostatic Forces and a Lithium-Ion Nanofoil Shield with Applications to Lunar Missions. Irene Gatimi, who wrote China's Re-Education Camps and International Criminal Court Potentiality. And Jessica Young, who wrote Teaching Load and Other Determinants of Research Output Among University Faculty. Congratulations.
So I want to say thank you, everyone, for joining this ceremony. It was amazing to see the range of titles, the range of publications, and I assume the quality of work. I wish I had a chance to read many of these documents, but I will let you know that we will be posting this publication list, making them available on the FAU Writing Cross Curriculum website for the student publication ceremony. And anyone who has a link who hasn't already provided one to us for the actual publication, we will link to those documents. We don't want to publish them if you don't have access, directly to those, unless you have permission from the publisher. At this time, I would like to thank everybody again. We really appreciate your time, and best wishes to all of you for additional work at FAU, and keep those publications going.
Congratulations, everyone.
Congratulations.